After he made sure Mokuba was asleep, he went down and got some beer and began to drink. Oh my god. So he knows that he's the one who did this to his brother, and yet he continues to drink. It was the weekend, so Seto didn't have any work, and Mokuba didn't have to go to school the next day. Seto drank and drank all night long. Mokuba woke up and it was 8 a.m. on a Saturday. He grunted as he got out of bed because of all the pain he had. Mokuba was still very hungry. Seto didn't feed him for a few days, so Mokuba went down and showered, then dressed, and then downstairs to see if Seto was up so he could make him something to eat. Mokuba walked around looking for him. He could not find him, so he walked into the kitchen and found Seto passed out on the floor with the fridge door hanging open and beer cans lying all around Seto's body. Oh my god. Mokuba was so upset to see this, he thought after what happened he was going to stop. Mokuba began to cry at the sight of his brother passed out again. Mokuba shouted out in anger at Seto. He knew Seto couldn't hear him since he had passed out. Mokuba yelled, "Wow, they're actually using quotations. Why are you doing this to me, Seto? Why? Why are you beating me? Why are you not feeding me? Why are you neglecting me? What did I do to you? Why did I do to deserve?" That's not how you spell deserve. All of this. I stuck by you through everything. Wrong version of through. And you go and do this. I want you back, Seto, to how you were before you got addicted to beer. That's not how you spell addicted. They're missing a D. When you weren't. I like that there's no apostrophe for weren't. You talked to me and you never beat me and you fed me every day and tucked me in bed, but now you're always drunk and I hate it. Please, Seto, stop. I miss you. Tears fell from the little boy's eyes. They would not stop coming out. He cried and cried. He was so upset he even let out loud screams of sadness and anger. Okay, that's the end of chapter 2. I need a quick break because I cannot read without my glasses because it's giving me a headache. Be right back. Savers, don't leave home without them. Well, if you have glasses, that is. They won't do you any good if you use them on your actual eye. In fact, I think they would blind you if you did that. Okay, so 2 chapters down, 1 more to go. Let's do this. The Crash, Chapter 3. A few hours passed and Seto woke up. He was no longer drunk, but he had a killer headache. Mokuba saw that Seto was up and he asked, "Big brother, you're awake. Can you please make me some food? I'm starving." That shouldn't be ending with a... Well, at least it has a punctuation mark, although it's not the right one. Seto growled, "Not right now, Mokuba. I don't feel good."
I'm sorry, Mokuba. I can't feed you right now, even though I just beat the shit out of you.
Mokuba frowned as he watched his brother walk out of the kitchen and in the living room to lay down with a bucket beside him in case... I'm not going to say anything. In case he felt sick enough to barf. Mokuba came into the living room and turned on the TV, but Seto yelled at him to turn it off. It was too loud. After that, Mokuba turned it off and left the room. He went up to his bedroom and called Toby on his cell phone and asked if he could come over for a while. Toby said, "Of course you can, Mokuba." Mokuba was walking over to Toby's house and they played video games for hours. It was getting really late. Mokuba stayed way past the time he was supposed to be out. Mokuba said goodbye to Toby and walked home. When he came home, he saw Seto standing in the front door with a beer can in his hand. Oh, jeez. I know where this is going. Mokuba tried not to make eye contact with him. Seto was once again drunk. Seto yelled and said, "So," in big capital letters, and then back to small letters, "You like to stay out past the time you're supposed to be home, huh?" Seto grabbed my arm. Seto grabbed my arm and took me back outside and threw me into his car. "What are you doing, Seto?" I love how they have an exclamation point and not a question mark, which would be more appropriate. Seto then got into the driver's seat and started then engine. Don't you mean the engine? My eyes got wide. Stupid. Okay, they forgot the O and stop, so it just says stupid. Stop, Seto. You can't drive when you're drunk. I love the lack of punctuation marks. I tried to get out of the car, but he drove away too fast for me to... Oh my god. He was going about 95 miles per hour. Now, to abbreviate miles per hour is understandable, because that's understandable, but to abbreviate minutes and stuff in a fanfic, not necessary, unless you're, like, showing, like, one scene of the fanfic where it's supposed to be, like, a science thing or something like that, or supposed to be a, well, whatever, I'll forget I said anything. Mokuba was so scared he started crying. Then all of a sudden a truck came out of nowhere, and why is the T in truck capitalized? There's really no need for that. But Seto would not stop. He smashed into the truck and hit his head and got knocked out. Mokuba went flying through the windshield from all the impact. They forgot an L in all, so it just says Al. He was so afraid he forgot to buckle himself in. He flew out the window, glass went everywhere. He rolled off the car hood and landed on the road. Bleeding badly, there was blood on the car. Mokuba has glass all over him. They reopened his stitches, and so his back began to bleed along with all the rest of his body. Mokuba was lying there unconscious. The man in the truck was okay. He called 911. The ambulance arrived and took Seto and Mokuba to the hospital. They turned on their sirens, and they used the wrong there again. They needed to get there fast before Mokuba bled to death. The ambulance people began to put pressure on the places that were bleeding, and they were picking glass out of his body. They arrived at the hospital, and Mokuba was taken back right away. They put him on a breathing machine and attached cords to him. They were stitching up his deep cuts. Mokuba got awake and started coughing up blood. You should have it say Mokuba woke up and started coughing up blood, not have it say Mokuba got awake, because that doesn't make any sense. Not just a little, a lot. They had to take off his breathing machine so the blood didn't go down the tube. There was, okay, capitalize the T in there if it's starting the next sentence. There was a long and sharp piece of glass sticking out of his stomach. It was there so deep that it punctured his stomach. Don't you mean that it punctured his stomach? Mokuba was covered in blood from head to toe. And why didn't they notice that piece of glass beforehand? The doctors gave him a shot to knock him out so they could remove the glass in him.
Though I don't get how he could have missed that, so he was sticking out like this.
Okay, sorry. They began working on removing it. They almost had it out. Blood was now running out of Mokuba's stomach, even though he was asleep from the shot. So is this person implying that if you fall asleep when you're injured, you'll magically stop bleeding until you wake up again? They had to open his mouth and put a suction thing... I shouldn't be laughing, but put a suction thing? I mean, get your terminology right if you're going to be writing a fanfic. A suction thing? And then to take out all the blood so he wouldn't choke on it. Finally, after 1 hour of surgery, they had gotten the glass out of him. Seto, whatever, was awake at this time. He was no longer drunk. He kept on calling out, Mokuba, Mokuba, are you there? A nurse came in to see Seto, and Seto asked, is my little brother here? Is he okay? Where is he? I love the use of punctuation marks. Notice the sarcasm in my voice. The nurse smiled. Your little brother is doing better now. That's all in one sentence. It should say the nurse smiled, end it with a comma, and then start the quotations with your little brother is doing fine now. And you are doing pretty well too. If... Okay, why is if capitalized? If you would like to see him, he's just down the hall in the recovery room. Seto went to where his little brother was. Seto saw him and cried, Mokuba, I'm so sorry. I love you and I promise I won't ever drink beer again. I could have lost you, and it would have been my own stupid fault. Please, Mokuba, will you forgive me? Mokuba looked over at Seto and stared into his eyes. I will forgive you, Seto. I love you, and I don't want you to ever hurt me again. I won't do it ever again as long as I live, Mokuba. No quotations. The beer has not helped me at all. I need you, Mokuba, not the beer. I don't want to hurt you, Mokuba, Seto said as the tears fell down his face. There's so many grammar mistakes I saw in this entire read, but I just want to get this over with. A few days later, Mokuba was well enough to go home. And everything... Okay, that's not how you spell everything. They have the G in the end switch, so it says everything. Like everything. Yeah. Was great. Seto kept his promise. He took care of his little brother again, fed him, drove him to school, and all the other things he had to do to take care of Mokuba. And he never drank beer ever again. The end. Okay, I think this story had a good moral to it, that drinking beer is bad and that becoming an alcoholic is bad because you tend to hurt your loved ones. I mean, it had a good message behind it, but it was so grammatically bad, it was hard to get the message. It was ridiculously bad. Like, spelling things wrong, run-on sentences, lacking punctuation marks, and then you kept on switching from, first person to third person. That made it very confusing. You can't do that in a story. I mean, this story had the potential of being good, but because this person was so all over the place with it, it was horrible, grammar-wise. I mean, the story itself was decent, but it was ruined because of the grammar. It just was. And it's a shame. It really is a shame. I mean, I'm not saying the story was bad because of the story itself. I was saying it was bad because of the grammar. It was frustratingly bad. This is why you gotta check your grammar, people. And if you're really this bad, have someone, like a peer, look over it. That's all I can really say about this story. And if the author who wrote this is watching this, please don't take this the wrong way, but you really need to work on your grammar. I mean, the story itself wasn't bad, but your grammar was bad. It made the story unlikable. Well, I'm the FanFic Critic. I read it, you listen. Ugh. I'm really running out of catchphrases, aren't I? Whew.